Escaped my son's father who trashed formula thinking it was unnatural, now seeking help and custody while staying at a friend's place. I, 20F, live with my boyfriend, 28 male, and his parents. Despite being on birth control, our son is a oops baby. He came early at 36 weeks, I was scared shitless by the labor and delivery nurses telling me he would need NICU time. He didn't, he would have feeding or breathing problems, he didn't, and he was just overall small, and I ended up with a second-degree tear due to him being sunny side up, and now almost 7 weeks later it still hurts to sit down and move certain ways. I still have back pain from where they placed the epidural. My recovery hasn't been easy. My stitches are healing well for the most part, and I'm going to get an IUD placed to have a more permanent type of birth control, because even after being on the birth control pills for 2 years, they aren't 100% pregnancy proof. Since my son was born early, the nurses gave him formula at first. I really didn't care. I just wanted my son to be healthy and be able to come home. My son's father/boyfriend and his family have pushed me to breastfeed all through my pregnancy. It wasn't ever something that really crossed my mind. My goal was just to have a healthy baby and we both survive. The hospital also gave us a pacifier, and my son's grandma said that pacifiers were just a crutch that babies didn't need, and I was setting him up to have teeth problems and need braces later on. I tried pumping with the hospital grade pump and it hurt. I tried breastfeeding my son but it hurt, and a lactation consultant at the hospital said I would struggle with breastfeeding due to my anatomy and the fact my son has a tongue tie. I just said okay, whatever, let's give him formula. My son's father's family, especially his mom, were not happy about it. While I'm up changing diapers and bottle feeding my son, she's also up and in my ear telling me how breast is best and you never know what's exactly in formula. Spoiler alert, she breastfed my son's father and his 3 siblings, so I guess it's like some sort of pride thing for her? She was the same way with my boyfriend's sister when she had her kids. My son's father even said one time it would be hot to see me breastfeed, and to be honest that just gave me the ick so bad I haven't gone back to work yet, despite me applying to jobs left and right, so whatever my son's father brings in with his paychecks is how I'm surviving right now. It's been tough and I have to pretty much justify how I spend his money. Why did I spend so and so at Walmart? Our son needed diapers, wipes and formula. I can only last so long. Well, why can't you start back breastfeeding to save money? I don't want to. Our son is happy and healthy and thriving on formula. My son's father won't even make him bottles because he thinks it's unnatural when I supposedly can just magically make breast milk appear again. My son had an appointment this morning to check his weight with the pediatrician because while he is gaining weight, it's been slow and he's been spitting up the formula. Ended up being gone for longer than I wanted to because the pediatrician's office was running behind. When I got back to the house, I went to make my son a bottle and found the formula canister empty. My son is crying for his milk and I ask his father what happened to the formula can because it was still half full. He just shrugs and goes, it looked old, so I threw it out. I asked him why would he do such a fucking stupid thing, and he yelled at me not to talk to him that way. Then his mom came into the kitchen and yelled at me for disrespecting her son. I had to grab the formula can out of the trash can and saw all of the dumped formula powder just sitting there along with my son's pacifiers all mixed in with the garbage. At this point my son's grandma picked him up and was trying to console him because he was getting upset. She started backing up my son's father, saying the formula he's on always looks expired and old and gross. I ended up yelling oh my god and called my son's father selfish and shitty for wasting something so important. It ended up with his mom yelling at me to get out of her house, and she refused to give me my son as he was crying. I lost it on her and screamed at her, give me my fucking baby, and she threatened to call the police on me for verbally abusing her and physically abusing my son. I ended up leaving with my son to a friend's house and thankfully had a sample can of his formula stashed away in the diaper bag I keep in my car, along with the 2 small sample cans the pediatrician's office gave me today. Both my son's father and grandma have texted me, asking me to come back and saying I shouldn't have been so dramatic and that my son's father was just trying to be careful. He wasted the baby's food and put my son in a difficult situation, and he doesn't even get it. Neither does his mom since she's backing him up on this. They're both making me feel so guilty. I'm just trying to keep my son alive. I ended up calling my mom to talk to someone about this whole mess, and she agreed with my son's grandma about how I should have breastfed, or at least used donor milk lol, but she also said I'm the mom, and can make my own decisions about my son. I asked her if we could stay with her for a couple of days and my mom said she just didn't have room for us, which is fair, she has my 4 younger siblings living with her as it is. I feel so mad and frustrated. I'm literally on hold with my son's pediatricians to see if they can give me any more sample cans before I go back to my son's father's house. Ada for getting mad over formula being trashed, or was my son's father in the right here? Edit. My friend loaned me enough cash to get my son a can of formula, thank God. My son's pediatrician's office never picked up, so I left a message for the receptionist and I'm hoping they will get back to me before they close. We can only stay with my friend for maybe a couple of days because I don't have anything beyond what's in the diaper bag for my son. I'm going to apply for WIC and SNAP benefits and see if a lawyer will help me get sole custody of my son. I'm not married to his father and I really don't want to go back to his mom's house if I don't have to. I should have grabbed some of my own stuff, but I was so angry I just wanted to get out of there. Going back to playing phone tag and trying to get help to get us out of this situation. Update 1. Here's an update for those who wanted it. I don't have a parent's home to go back to. For those telling me to go back to my mom's or dad's, my dad is listed as unknown on my birth certificate, and my mom kicked me out when I told her I was pregnant because she has my younger siblings to take care of. It was either living with my boyfriend and his mom or just being homeless while pregnant. I didn't think my son's father and grandmother would screw me over so badly like this, though my son's pediatrician's office did call me back yesterday morning. I couldn't get through to anyone Wednesday afternoon, and I was able to go in and they gave me a list of resources. Most I already knew about, like WIC and SNAP, but they also gave me the number to a women's shelter in my area. I live really rural, so there's only one that was listed. I gave them a call, explained my situation, and they asked if I was in any immediate danger. I said no, I had left with my son. She asked if I planned on going back, and I said no. She asked if any physical abuse had happened, and I told her that my son's grandma refused to give him to me until I started yelling, but she said that didn't count because it wasn't physical. She also said I couldn't keep my son away from his father, but my son's father and grandmother haven't tried contacting me since Wednesday when I left. She gave me the number of legal aid in my county and said to complete the eligibility application, and she would contact me when a spot opens up at the shelter. This was yesterday, and I've tried calling this morning with no luck on getting anyone on the phone. My son's pediatrician's office also gave me all of their newborn and size 1 diapers they had in stock, and another sample can of formula for him. For those saying I need to get a job, get a lawyer, save money. I know that. I just got cleared to go back to work at my 6-week postpartum checkup. My last job was working as a cashier at a gas station, and I only made $9 an hour. I've applied to jobs, but I can't make anyone hire me on the spot. If it weren't for my friend loaning me money to get my son a full canister of formula, he would be surviving off the sample cans I had in the diaper bag and what the pediatrician gave me on Wednesday. My friend let us crash with her from Wednesday night until today. Her roommate comes back home, and I don't blame them for not wanting me and my newborn to sleep on their couch. Trying to convince my mom to let us come crash with her until the shelter can find us a bed, but I don't think that's going to work out either. I filled out the eligibility application for legal aid yesterday, and I am really hoping I hear something back soon. I tried calling custody lawyers after Googling them, and out of the few I spoke to, only one was considered low fee, but they wanted a deposit of over $1,000, which I don't have, and I am terrified of my son's father using his mother's money to get custody of my son and keep him away from me. One really kind person here on Reddit offered to get my son diapers and wipes so I wouldn't go through what little I had in the diaper bag. I also got a lot of really weird and some downright hateful messages too. Yes, I know I shouldn't have had a kid at 20. Yes, I should have kept my legs closed, and a lot of you have some really strong preferences for breastfeeding. It just wasn't something I felt I could do. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I literally never thought my son's grandmother and his father would act like lunatics over this. No, I am not giving my son up for adoption. No, I'm not dropping him off at a firehouse. I am doing the best I can under these circumstances. I plan on applying for all of the government help I can get once I have a permanent place to lay my head. I've been running off fumes and trying to wrap my head around everything. I'm still in shock over it all, and I know I need to get sole custody of my son and keep him away from his dad and grandmother. It's not like I can start lactating again at 7 weeks postpartum, but boy did I get a lot of messages telling me I didn't try hard enough or didn't care enough about my son because I feed him formula. I keep staring at my phone waiting for the shelter to call to say they have a spot for us. I feel so bad for my son that this is what his life is like, and I'm angry at myself for everything too. I'm hoping I can get the ball moving on getting assistance and getting a lawyer and finding something more stable for us soon. I know it isn't much of an update, but I know a lot of people were concerned and asking for one. I'll try to update again when I have better news to share. Edit. You guys, I'm doing everything I can here. I cannot make a lawyer take my case if I don't have the funds for a deposit. I can't make a shelter worker take us in if they don't have space. I can't go to a different county for shelter or resources when I have nothing but my son's diaper bag and my purse to my name. I have people in my inbox telling me I should have my son taken away from me and I should go to jail for leaving his father and grandmother's house, for crying out loud. I called a shelter in the next county to mine and left a voicemail, and now I'm calling churches for help too. After another few days drifting between hope and panic, things have been, well, surreal. My nerves are shredded, sleep is a joke while my son fusses and my mind spins. Since my last update, I finally heard back from the women's shelter. A room came open, just a room, with a bed, but it's ours for now. I'm still shaky about it, but the intake worker, Miss Dana, was actually kind and not all intrusive. She told me straight out if the father or his mother show up, they'll not get past the lobby, no matter if they bang on the doors. I can't believe how much that helped me breathe. Yesterday morning, shelter volunteers brought boxes of donated supplies. Half the formula cans were open or expired, but there were a couple new ones. Enfamil, Similac, even a European brand I've never heard of. My son didn't like that one much, but I just about cried at the sight of so many little containers. They also gave me welcome packs, wipes, sleepers, and a stack of hand-me-downs for both me and him. I've stopped being self-conscious about charity. Right now, it just equals survival. On to crazy developments. Remember how utterly hopeless I felt about legal help? I got a real call back from the legal aid people. A paralegal named Renee scheduled a phone appointment, and instead of treating me like a dumb kid, she said, bluntly, "It's good you left." She explained that, even though I'm not married to my son's father and there's nothing filed yet, I need to apply for emergency temporary custody so there's a paper trail showing where my son is and preventing his dad or grandmother just grabbing him back if I step outside again. It's such a whirlwind. I honestly didn't expect much, but Renee went down a list: hospital records, pediatrician's notes, text message screenshots, even photos of the trashed formula from the night everything exploded. I loaded everything onto a library computer, since I blew through my phone's data uploading pics to the paralegal's email. I'm trying, you guys, and it's working, a little. Yesterday, we filed paperwork at the courthouse. I felt like I was going to throw up in the family law office, terrified someone would see me and call his family. But nobody did. Instead, a very bored deputy asked if I wanted a restraining order too. I said yes. Now here's the wildest bit. The day after I left, my son's father tried showing up at the friend's house where I'd been staying earlier. A neighbor saw his car circling, and my friend told me later he stood in the apartment hallway for almost an hour, knocking. He finally gave up, but the texts ramped up, full of threats: if you don't come back, I'll call CPS on you, and guilt, you're ruining our family, he needs a dad. His mom wrote me too, some barely coherent mix of threats and manipulation: just bring my son's name, we'll forgive you if you do the right thing. I saved all of them. Renee said it's perfect for proving they're not fit for custody. In a way, being at the shelter feels safer than anywhere I've been since my son was born, but it's lonely. Other moms here keep to themselves. At night, I hear crying from the next room, echoing my own sons, and wonder if their stories are as botched as mine. Miss Dana, the shelter worker, checked in on me when I broke down in the kitchen yesterday, and she sat with me over microwaved coffee. She said lots of people never have it together. We just do what we have to, she said, and there's no shame in surviving. You are surviving. Another unexpected good thing: the County WIC office bumped me up the appointment list since I'm in shelter, and though it was aggravating dragging a stroller and a crying baby through City Hall, I got our benefits card yesterday, a week's worth of formula, free and clear. The government cheese is truly as bad as they say, kidding, kind of, and the cash amount is nowhere near what I need for both of us, but I held that card and it hit me: he won't go hungry tonight. Today, for the first time, with the legal situation in motion, I messaged my own mom again. I haven't always been kind about her. She's got 4 littles and way too much on her plate, and yeah, she's judgmental as hell. But maybe she's all bark? I sent her a photo of her grandson, a big, gummy smile, thank you, new to us onesie, and she just wrote back: he's beautiful. I'm sorry if I was too hard on you. Do you need any help? I cried in the shelter bathroom so hard my face hurt. I don't know yet if help from her means come stay or just the gift card she offered, but it's something. It's not all hopeful, though. There are moments the anxiety bites so hard I get dizzy, when I picture the judge siding with his dad for stability or imagine them taking my baby because I'm not stable enough. Renee says the court will look at who's caring for my son now, not who has family money or a permanent address. If I keep doing what I'm doing, she insists, it'll turn out okay. I want to believe her. No word from the grandmother or my ex-boyfriend since I finally blocked them. Just one weird message from his sister out of the blue yesterday, telling me to think about what's best for the baby and every boy needs his father. She also said their grandmother cried all night and wanted to work it out. But my son is lying beside me, milk drunk and peaceful, so I think for now, this is what's best. I still don't have a job lined up, but I've got interviews coming. The shelter's caseworker is trying to get my foot in the door at a daycare. She says they're desperate for staff, and maybe I could bring my son. I have no idea yet if it'll work, but it's the first time someone offered me possibility instead of a lecture. So that's it. For now, I'm safe, he's safe, there's formula in the cabinet and diapers enough for a few days. Nothing about the past 2 months is what I pictured, but I'm no longer waiting for other people, not my mother, not his father, me, to magically fix things. Some nights I catch myself humming lullabies or rubbing circles on my son's back while he drinks his bottle, and I suddenly believe, I can do this. I can really do this. If I get more news, you'll be the first to know. Update 2 okay. You all asked for more, and honestly so much has happened in the last 5 days that my head feels like it's going to unscrew itself, spin around, and launch across the parking lot behind the shelter. I'm typing this in a corner of the rec room where the Wi-Fi is decent and my son is passed out with formula on his chin and both hands clamped on a donated sloth rattle. Trust me, it gets weird, it gets heated, it gets, dare I say, almost hopeful, but holy hell, this week was an absolute circus. First, let's start with day 2 at the shelter. Miss Dana, the director, flagged me down at breakfast with a gentle but ominous "Can you come to the office for a minute?" My stomach plummeted. I imagined everything: my son's father showing up, CPS at the door, the shelter saying I couldn't stay. Turns out it was a report from CPS, called in anonymously, about possible neglect, poor feeding, and unstable housing environment. I knew immediately who it was from. Miss Dana gave me this long, sympathetic look and told me, "Don't panic. Happens all the time when abusers lose control." The caseworker, Ms. Lopez, came that afternoon. She was, get this, a breath of fresh air. She looked at my son, took one glance at his chunky thighs and milk-drunk smile, and after a gentle barrage of questions, apologized for the trouble. She checked our formula stash, asked about the pediatrician's notes, took a stack of printouts from legal aid, and basically said I was doing excellent considering all factors. Ms. Lopez also wrote a positive report for the custody file, one more iron in my legal fire. Score, Mom 1, Grandma 0, but drama wasn't done. Day 3 brought the social media showdown. I got wind, from 3 different group chat screenshots, bless you, Reddit lurkers, that my ex's entire family was running some half-baked campaign about me being an unfit mother and abducting their grandchild. Someone even dug up one of my old selfies from high school, and plastered it onto a Facebook post with the caption, "Never trust a party girl with your child." I've never done anything wilder than splitting a Twisted Tea on my 19th birthday, but whatever, my stomach sank, because, yes, I know judges sometimes peek at this stuff. Renee, my paralegal from heaven, told me to sit tight, save the screenshots, block the worst ones, don't engage. She said it's typical control tactics, and most courts see right through it. Still, seeing distant cousins and people from my old high school weighing in on my situation was one of the weirdest, most helpless feelings yet. Side note, if you read this and know me IRL, maybe get a hobby? Please. But here's where things started to swing my way. On the 4th morning, the shelter sprang into action. They'd gotten an emergency grant from a local moms group. I was standing in line for coffee when Miss Dana handed me a voucher for a week's worth of lodging in a studio apartment. Just like that, I had a place, carpet so old it's practically historic, yes, and a view of the grocery store delivery dock, but my own bath, kitchen, and a door that locks from the inside. The shelter drove me and my son over in the back of their battered van with 3 garbage bags full of donations and a tiny orchid plant from their good luck shelf. For the first time since the hospital, I took a shower with the door closed and sobbed with relief that nobody could judge me or call me dramatic or ungrateful. That night my son slept his best stretch yet. Thank you, worn out mattress, you unsung hero. It seemed I had exactly 1 day of peace before my phone blew up again. This time, I got a call from the police department. I nearly threw up, thinking something had happened to a sibling or my son's father had pulled an even dumber stunt. Nope. A police officer, actually polite, told me someone, gee, I wonder who, had tried to file a welfare check saying I was in distress and might hurt the baby. I invited them by, heart hammering. The 2 officers came, again, my son was clean, healthy, fed, and I had the shelter's director on speed dial as a character witness. After 15 minutes and a glance at the Formula Mountain, they shook my hand and apologized. "Ma'am, you're good, change your locks if you ever move. Block those numbers." That was wild, intimidating, honestly, but sort of vindicating too. The world had proof, no matter what, I would not let my son down. In between the legal flaming hoops, some moments felt almost normal. I had my first job interview in months, at the local daycare. The director was a tired woman in Crocs who basically just asked if I could change diapers, pass a background check, and show up on time. Yes, and yes, if the paperwork goes through, they'll let me bring my son. It's not glamorous and the pay is beyond laughable, but it's a start. I can feed and watch over him, and maybe, just maybe, start building a patchwork plan. There's more. My mother, who I honestly thought might never reach out again, sent a $200 Visa gift card and a short message. "Sorry I was hard on you, but I'm proud of how you're fighting." I think I stared at the phone for 10 minutes before sobbing. I haven't decided yet what to do about her. She's complicated and opinionated, but for the first time, maybe she's not the enemy. Maybe we can be women, not just mom and daughter. 2 generations feeling their way through the dark. On the legal side? Renee followed up, we got a court date. Ex's family finally contacted legal aid with their own lawyer, which, her words, usually means they know you have something solid, and they want to make a deal. Temporarily, as long as my son is safe and accounted for, the judge won't force any custody swaps. It feels like my entire life is balancing on a lawyer's calendar, but I can see something resembling a path. Oh, and the funniest moment of the week, apparently my son's other grandma tried to drop off breast milk from a neighbor at the shelter for me to try latching him again. Shelter staff refused it. I just had to laugh at that point. If it wasn't my actual life, I'd think it was a bad sitcom script. Weirdest, hardest, and somehow, weirdly, most empowering week of my life. I have a home, even if it's borrowed. My son has a full belly, I have documents, legal counsel, a childcare lead, and a plastic orchid on my window ledge. My ex is still sending weird, semi-desperate messages through friends, but for now, the doors are locked, the court papers are filed, and we are okay. If the next week is anything like this one, I'll either have a nervous breakdown or start actually believing I can change my life for good. Either way, I promise I'll let you all know first. Update 3. Honestly, if you told me even a week ago that things would get this much more chaotic and yet, somehow, more hopeful, I wouldn't have believed you. Sleep is still a joke, caffeine is my new blood type, and the sound of every text alert still flips my stomach over, but this past week, it feels like more than just treading water. I'm not just on defense anymore. Maybe I'm actually living, and fighting. The week started with a knock that made my blood run cold. Sanctuary or not, A door in a new place still feels like a threat when you've got custody papers in one hand and a screaming baby in the other. But it wasn't the police or, God forbid, my ex or his mother. It was a volunteer from the shelter's affiliated outreach program. Her name is Janine, and she looked exactly like the kind of aunt you wish you had. Floral blouse, baggy jeans, arms full of stuff, formula, a box of teething toys, a battered slow cooker. She asked, "Home visit okay?" I made soup. Cue tears, again. Janine told me about something I never knew even existed. The Bridge program, tiny local initiative where shelter clients can trade work hours for grocery credits. Suddenly I was learning how to fill donation boxes, stock pantry shelves, even do some basic admin on their aging desktop. 20 minutes to boot up, hilarious except when a toddler is crying and you're trying to answer an email. For 5 hours a week, they'll top up my food card and pay a little pocket cash under the table. I felt, for the first time in forever, like maybe there's a way forward that isn't just waiting for disaster. The daycare job didn't call back right away, because bureaucracy never runs on time, but I picked up weekend babysitting for another mom at the shelter who has shifts at the Waffle House. It means my son's nap schedule is a disaster and there are toys everywhere, but the girls, twins just a little older than my boy, totally adore him and try to teach him to sing. Mostly screeching, occasionally in unison. For the first time since this all started, the sound of other kids isn't a stress trigger, it's proof that kids can be noisy and safe. Legally, things kicked into another gear. Renee from Legal Aid called with a weird mix of excitement and warning. My ex's side finally responded, but the letter was a rambling mess. His grandma, not mother, his grandma, who suddenly got a lot to say, sent the court a handwritten statement about family values and how a boy must be raised by men. The kicker? She cited the unnatural disruptions of formula and screen devices as evidence I'm warping our baby. Renee, who, by now, is my legal fairy godmother, just rolled her eyes and told me the judge has seen it all before. Bonus, my ex's lawyer submitted, as evidence of neglect, half a dozen Facebook screenshots, including one of me asking for Formula Rex in a parenting group. If I wasn't physically exhausted, I think I'd be howling with laughter. Instead I just texted Renee, "Will request for a supply drop from Amazon Prime also be used against me?" She said, "Just don't put your GoFundMe code on your forehead in Sharpie and you'll be fine." The real emotional earthquake came when my own mom, after all her roughness and talking about how I should have breastfed, actually texted and called for the first time. She admitted she'd spoken to a counselor at her work about helping family under stress and just apologized. Like, really apologized. She said she regretted buying into mythos about good mothers that hurt everybody. She sent extra support, not just the gift card, though it saved my butt again this week, but a series of real offers. I can watch the baby on weekends if you get a job. My friend from church has a high chair she never used. Want it? For the first time, we talked about nothing to do with my son or money. She told me about work drama, my little brother's wild field trip, and asked if I needed hand-me-downs for winter. I forgot we could do that. Speaking of jobs, the daycare finally called. After a super speed background check, which came back clean, shocker, unless my middle school library fine counts, they gave me a trial shift. I showed up with my son in tow, convinced everyone would look at us sideways. Instead, the lead teacher breezily looped him into the crawling babies circle and asked if I wanted my name on the next month's schedule. "You're already doing this 24/7, she said. "Might as well get paid. The wage is tiny, but the difference is dignity. I get to say, I'm working. I get, for the first time in months, to feel like something other than a problem." Remember the police visit from the last update? It happened again, but this time, the officer recognized me, apologized for the trouble, we know what game they're playing, and, get this, handed me a pamphlet for a local safe exchanges program for custody transitions, if it came to that. The universe, at least for now, seems to have my number. The small stuff was good, too. My son slept through the night for once. I woke up in a panic, naturally, and I ran into a mom from the WIC office who lives in my new complex. She offered to swap formula cans for sizes her baby outgrew. For the first time since I left my ex, I didn't feel like absolute scum for accepting a little charity or asking a neighbor for help. But the best, craziest thing? I actually have a plan. I called my old high school guidance counselor, random, I know, if you knew how many times I skipped class in 12th grade, and she hooked me up with a local community college navigator. Apparently if I can swing a tiny bit of financial aid, and my lawsuit paperwork proves I'm independent, I can start work on a certification online. They've even got a class that's parenting friendly. It sounds nuts, fitting anything extra in, but the idea I could, one day, have an actual career? It's the first twinge of hope I've felt since before my son was born. The custody court date is coming. I'm scared, I'm hopeful, and I'm, finally, ready. Ready to stand up for us, to spell it all out under oath. Before, I thought best interests just meant who has the biggest family or the most money. I'm starting to believe maybe sometimes it means the person who tries hardest and loves the best. If you're following, if you really read all these words from a sleep-deprived 20-year-old mom who just wants a safe place for her tiny, spitty, beautiful baby to sleep, thank you for pushing me to fight. For believing I could. He's snoring in his bassinet as I write this, fists in the air like a tiny, formula-fed champion.